What's going on, guys? You will not believe this. Deathstroke was almost Superman in the DCEU. It's a crazy story. If you're new to the channel, I do Marvel and DC every week. Be sure to subscribe to get everything and leave all your requests in the comments below. But Deathstroke, Joe Manganiello, we all went crazy when they dropped that teaser last year. If you haven't seen it, here it is. There's no audio for it, but this was him doing a costume test. So awesome. Can't wait to see him kick Batman's ass during the Batman Solo movie, even though some of that's in question based on recent events, which I will explain at the end of the video. But the Superman story is nuts, so I'm going to play this interview that he did where he explains all the steps he went through and how he was getting ready to put that costume on, and now it's come full circle that he's back in the DCEU.
Was there an angry phone call when you found out that True Blood, for whatever reason, and it's not whatever reason, like it was legitimately they couldn't let you out, they needed you, but they said, sorry, we can't even let you test for this, we can't even let you meet with Zach.
I met with Zach.
You did meet with Zach.
I had an hour and a half long meeting with Zach, which is what was causing all the trouble.
You jumped the gun.
I went ahead and met with casting, and then they brought me over to Zach. I met with all the producers. I met with John Jashney and Thomas Tull at Legendary.
So you had some real stuff going.
I met everybody. Yeah. Everybody involved, and then finally sat down with Zach for an hour and a half and had a big conversation about the character and where it was going and etc. And then they called the True Blood costume shop for my measurements to build my suit, and that's what caused that's when it stopped. That was put to an end.
And how was Joe then when you learned that? Did you have some talk with Alan and HBO and everybody and try and?
I mean, my agent Kevin Uvain said, "I'm not sure if I can get this done or if I can work this out, but if I can't do it, no one can."
Sure.
Which is true.
I'm sure.
So he went to work to Time Warner, who owns Warner Brothers Studios and HBO. They're the umbrella over the top of them. So he thought, well, okay.
At least we've got that in our favor.
Yeah. And there was just nothing that could be done. Yeah. And at that point, you lay in bed for a week and stare at the ceiling. And you then have to get into a place of gratitude for this job, my day job, which the show, which was the reason why I was noticed in the first place. Right. Zach and his wife watched True Blood. And I guess when I walked out, he said, that guy'd be a great Superman. This was, a year before I wound up in his office. So you have to be grateful for that. It was also, the first steady paycheck I'd had in a long time. It was a great job. It was the hottest show in the world at that time.
Yeah.
So
you have to put it in perspective. Yeah.
You put it in perspective, and you get back in there like a good soldier, and you go back to work, and you don't let it affect you. Which is tough sometimes.
Did you take a little time before seeing Man of Steel? Was it tough for you eventually to see it?
I wouldn't see it. I couldn't. I just couldn't. I was really, I'm a sensitive guy, and I was kind of rocked by the whole thing. And I had bicep surgery after Magic Mike 2, and I was up in the middle of the night because with the pain, and I was on painkillers, and it was on, and so I watched it then.
It's probably for the best.
It's like, all right, I think I'm ready. All right, let's go.
So I didn't even think about it. You're going to be playing Deathstroke in the new Batman, which is a bad guy.
Yeah, to an extent. I mean, the character of Deathstroke is very specific. There's but I mean, the building of that character is very similar. I mean, I think, looking at someone as evil or a villain is really not accurate.
Because they think they're the heroes.
Well,
right, of course.
Well, they've been affected in a certain way, and I mean, you could look at a character like Batman, for example. Batman had this, this tragedy, this personal tragedy. He lost these loved ones, and swore this would never happen to anyone else again.
Right.
And became this vigilante with very questionable tactics at times. On the converse, if you read the comic books, Deathstroke is a character that's not dissimilar to that origin story. He lost a loved one and was rather than swearing it would never happen to anyone again, there was a bit of numbness, I think, or he kind of, his change was that he became this assassin for hire and wound up being fine with just murdering everyone in sight for the right price.
Right.
So, there's a very fine line between those two characters, and I think if either one crossed that line, they would turn into the other very easily. So
Right.
it's almost this mirror reflection of what, those choices could have been for Bruce Wayne had he gone a different direction.
And I think a lot of the Christopher Nolan movies especially kind of explore, like, is he crossing the line?
Right.
Like, is this actually too much? Right.
Yeah. So, in my mind, I mean, there's, you could say, oh, Deathstroke's a villain, but I mean, there's definitely a way to look at him that way, but there's a way to look at him as, an anti-hero.
Right.
Or just someone who's figuring things out in his own way or trying to work something out over the course of this 2-hour movie.
Not unlike a red dragonborn paladin of
Batman,
T-Mac.
Batman better not slap him.
Yeah.
You know what's gonna happen.
There better not
Burn down the
be
bar.
Better not be
a
any
slittle
slapping.
person that slaps my Deathstroke in the face, so he's going to lose his mind.
So, how much freedom do you have if you're playing a comic book
Mm-hmm.
character that has a backstory that's been told throughout? Like, how much freedom do you have to put your own spin on these characters?
That's a good question. I think it's
you.
probably,
Level up, Shelley.
I think it's it's case by case. And the real answer is like we'll see once we get on the ground. But I'm somebody that likes to start preparing way ahead of time, so I've read almost all the comic books.
In preparation, or-
Involving him just to get the information out of them, but some of them are useful, some of them are not going to be useful because ultimately the the script is that's my text, and I have to play that. But like I started katana trading recently,
yeah.
like live sword training, and I started meeting with various martial arts teachers and discussing with them. Okay, so, what are like the most offensive styles of martial arts?
Okay.
Ones where you're not waiting for someone to attack you, but ones where you're looking to make
Right.
the attack. And then what are the most deadly ones? Where are the scrolls, the ancient, the old Japanese scrolls that have these really deadly techniques you don't teach to the average student off the street? Something that only somebody who would go looking for it that are really, really
Yep.
bad, or dangerous, like what are those? Okay, so now what are the stances? What are some like really unorthodox stances that someone who learned, say, ninjutsu would stand in? Okay, now what if that person lost an eye? If that person lost an eye, how would they then alter the stance so that you would have a better peripheral vision? What would that look like? And so then you start cooking, and then you
Yeah.
start building a story kind of, I guess, outside in. That's like a very physical way to build this story.
Yeah.
But then, on the other side of it, like I said, I mean, I'm looking at the script rather than the comic books. I mean, the comic books are giving me a good general kind of area of what we're talking about, of where this character is located, but the script is really like, because they might change the canon. They might, there's been, I think, like 3 or 4 different ways that he's lost his eye. Okay, well, which one, are we doing one of those or are we doing a completely new way? Like,
Right.
I need to play that.
Such a crazy story. Can you just imagine Wolfman Joe Manganiello playing Superman? He's got the body for it, he's got the physicality, and I think that he's a great actor, but I think things worked out for the better. One, because villains just have a lot more fun, so I think he'll have a lot more fun playing Deathstroke going up against the heroes. Sometimes it can be a curse to be such a big character like Superman that just follows you around for the rest of your life, and if you're not an amazing Superman, that's what everybody will remember. Oh, hey, that's the guy that ruins Superman. It'll just follow you around for the rest of your life. So he gets to be a villain, have way more fun, and just Boba Fett the shit out of Batman through the DCEU and all the other heroes. So the big thing that's changed now, though, is that he's like, well, I think that I'm still in the Batman solo movie because Matt Reeves took over. He has the power to rewrite the script. So in the Jeff Johns, Ben Affleck version, Deathstroke was the main villain, so that could change a little bit, but I think it's just so iconic and he's such a big character that he'll still be in there, even though whatever the story is going to be is going to change a little. But let me know, what do you guys think about Joe Manganiello playing Superman? That'd just be so crazy. Big coincidence, too, is that like after all this news broke, that Zack Snyder posted this picture of Henry Cavill in his very first costume test, which was actually the Christopher Reeve costume. He totally looks the part, so I do think that it's the right call, but I think it's funny that he posted this saying, Henry was my first choice for Superman right after this Joe Manganiello story broke. So I know a lot of you have been asking for more Justice League Dark Side videos. So what I'll do is there was a really cool Steppenwolf thing that dropped. So I'll do a video for that. He was talking a lot about his character. There are some changes from the comics, so I'll explain that. That should post in the next couple of days. But there's a whole bunch of Star Wars. There'll probably be some new Rick and Morty. But leave all your video requests in the comments below. And if you haven't seen that, you can check here for like really awesome behind the scenes Darth Vader castle stuff from Star Wars and learn all about Last Jedi trailer stuff happening next week. And you can click here for brand new Flash Season 3. Thank you so much for watching. Let's high five. I'll see you guys in the next video.